Hello and welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and coming up in today's newscast, over 940 people in Israel have now been diagnosed with the coronavirus, and the first has passed away. Israel begins to enforce a new set of regulations to keep the public on a firm lockdown. And we'll reveal what happens when one Israeli mother spends just a little bit too much time stuck in the house with her kids. A viral rant that you're not going to want to miss out on. Well, 945 people have now been diagnosed with the coronavirus in Israel, with more than 62 cases diagnosed on Saturday alone. And 20 people are now in serious condition, with another 24 moderately ill. Luckily, 37 have now recovered, but Friday saw the first death from the virus. An 88-year-old Holocaust survivor, Aryeh Even, who succumbed to COVID-19 after contracting the virus while suffering from various other pre-existing conditions. Right now, almost 300 coronavirus patients are being treated in hospitals. 344 are getting assistance from home, and 97 are receiving help in hotels. It still hasn't been decided where the remaining 169 sick people will be treated, and now a premature baby is in serious condition after being diagnosed with COVID-19 after coming into contact with a sick healthcare worker. The Israeli Health Ministry is ramped up to administering over 2,000 tests a day, with hopes of carrying out more than 3,000 daily starting this week. And the Israeli Magen David Adom Emergency Services is now opening 4 new drive-through testing locations for the coronavirus. One in Tel Aviv has already launched on Friday in the Park Ayalon, where 900 people in home quarantine or exhibiting symptoms are being tested. Now, the other drive-through testing sites will be open over the next few days in Haifa, Beersheba, and Jerusalem, respectively. And 14,000 Israelis have been tested for the coronavirus so far. Now, as the coronavirus spreads, the Israeli Health Ministry has just instituted new lockdown rules that have come into effect this morning, Sunday, as of 8 a.m. And these newest regulations will now be enforced by the police following days of Israelis refusing to follow the rules. ILTV's Aaron Porras reports from the streets of Tel Aviv.
Hey, Natasha. Yeah, I'm here in the middle of Tel Aviv at Habima Square, and as you can see around me, a lot of people are not exactly listening to the new regulations that start today. They're taking advantage, so to speak, of the day off. The only things that are allowed to be open currently are cafes and restaurants and certain eateries and small businesses, as long as they are not letting foot traffic into the business. It's only to go. But again, Netanyahu has said that this is mandatory and it is necessary to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Police are even actually going around and breaking up large crowds.
היום אני מודיע על עליית מדרגה נוספת במלחמה בקורונה. הממשלה תאשר הלילה, תקנות לשעת חירום להגבלת התנועה. בהגבלות הללו אתם, אזרחי ישראל, נדרשים להישאר בבית. עכשיו זה כבר לא בקשה, זו לא המלצה, זו הנחיה מחייבת, הנחיה שתאכף על ידי גורמי האכיפה.
Contrary to previous promises, open-air markets like the famous Carmel Market in Tel Aviv and Machane Yehuda Market in Jerusalem are now shuttered. And Israelis are no longer allowed to leave their home for the next 7 days unless they're going straight to work and coming back, buying essential food and medical supplies, or are seeking medical treatment. There are other exceptions, though, which include attending small demonstrations of 10 people or less, aiding an elderly, disabled, or sick person, donating blood, attending a court hearing, or seeking aid from welfare services. Israelis are also allowed to leave their homes to go to the Knesset and to attend religious services and ritual baths or mikvehs. Again, though, only with fewer than 10 people. Funerals and weddings, on the other hand, can now have up to 20 people in attendance. Now, in terms of exercise, Israelis can go outside to work out as long as they do so with no more than one other person, and they're allowed to venture out for short walks near their homes. Israelis are also banned from driving in a car, though, with more than one other person, unless the drive includes multiple members of the same household. Penalties for breaking any of these rules have not yet been clarified, but the police are patrolling the streets to enforce them.
A top health ministry official is now warning that these social distancing rules are expected to last until at least the summer and could get worse before they get better. Now, at the same time, reports are indicating that police will not take action against individuals who venture outside their homes despite the strict rules, but will rather go after businesses, and business owners. But with all these regulations in Israel, the unemployment rate has skyrocketed to 16.5% in Israel from a mere 3.6% in the fourth quarter of last year. And over 500,000 people have lost their jobs since the start of March. And on Wednesday alone, 66,000 Israelis filed for unemployment, actually causing the Employment Services website to crash. Now, the cost of unemployment benefits is expected to reach $523 million in April, up from around $220 to $250 million per month. Now, we've been speaking nonstop about the implications of the coronavirus, but not so much about the illness itself. So what is the coronavirus and how long is it going to last? Joining us now in the studio or on Skype with the details is Professor of Immunology and Virology at the Tel Aviv University, Dr. Jonathan Gershoni. Thanks for joining us. Now, in the past, viruses like SARS disappeared relatively quickly. Can we see is that also going to take place right now with this virus?
Well, unfortunately not. These are both coronaviruses and actually genetically very similar. However, their behavior and their infectious pattern is quite distinct. In SARS, the original one, it was transmitted only when there were clear symptoms, coughing, fever, and so on. And with this new virus, it turns out that asymptomatic people who do not have symptoms can continue and actually spread the disease. So it becomes very difficult to implement social distancing because half of the people who are infected don't even know they are infected with this devious virus, if you will.
And how long do you think this is going to last for? I mean, what is your guess?
Well, obviously, when a functional vaccine is discovered, then we will have general protection. But until then, social distancing is absolutely necessary because we want to try to, in as much as possible, reduce the rate of infection and therefore flatten the curve, which we've all heard about in the last weeks.
Now, when it comes to the spread of this disease, what is the most likely way in which you can catch it? Is that through touching surfaces in which the virus lives, or is that through, airborne particles?
Well, the micro droplets, if you will, when we sneeze, cough, and so on, is the most direct way of transmitting the disease. People who are infected, they cough and they spread through airborne micro droplets. There has been some comment about the viability, the ability to catch from surfaces. So this can exist, but for that, of course, the best way to prevent that is to wash your hands methodically with soap. I don't know if you have to sing Happy Birthday or other songs, but this is certainly a very effective way. Hand hygiene is really important.
Now, talk to us a little bit about the development of a vaccine. The World Health Organization said that there are 20 vaccines worldwide that are currently being developed, but what is the timeline on that?
Well, unfortunately, the timeline will take at least a year, if not 2 years. And most of the vaccines that have been reported are variations in what had been attempted for both SARS and MERS, previous coronaviruses, which haven't been very successful. So there is a systematic method of developing a vaccine. It has to go through clinical trials. This all takes time. So it's excellent that there are attempts, but this is not going to relieve the problem in the immediate future.
Now, are there any long-lasting effects from the coronavirus? And people who recover from it, are they therefore immune, or can they still infect others?
Well, these are two very good questions. First of all, I have to emphasize I'm not a doctor. I'm just a scientist.
Right.
But as far as damage to the lungs, it's been reported that people who have recovered do have some sort of scar tissue and damage to their lungs.
Okay.
It's also interesting to point out that one of the risk groups are people who have previously smoked. So again, smoking here again is a serious disadvantage to those who want to recover. So this is certainly a problem and has to be considered.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor. And I know that you are giving a free online course on the subject, about how to learn more about viruses and beat them. So everybody check out his work. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
All right, moving on. Available test kits for the deadly novel coronavirus are getting harder and harder to come by as the number of infected individuals continues to climb around the world. But Israeli researchers believe that they have an equally novel solution for this problem. As of now, Israel can check upwards of 3,500 people a day for the coronavirus against the population. And this makes Israel one of the best places to be to receive a virus test. But kits are still hard to come by, and in other countries, it's much harder. Well, scientists at the Israeli Rambam Medical Center and Technion Institute in Haifa have an idea to fix the bottleneck. Just pool the tests together, according to the team of researchers. This simple solution means quicker clearance of dozens of people suspected of having the virus, and with a fraction of the resources. So here's how it works. By pooling and testing roughly 50 people at a time, medical workers can clear an entire group of individuals with just a single test. And if the pool tests positive for the virus, then individual tests can be administered either way. Now you save on tests and potentially save lives. Now, Israel still doesn't have a new government coalition, despite reports that right-wing Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and his left-center rival Benny Gantz have been negotiating to form a unity government amid this crisis. Even though Gantz has been handed the mandate to form a coalition, no progress seems to be being made. And joining us to discuss is political analyst Zohar Tal. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke on live television last night saying he would share power on a completely equal basis with Gantz's Blue and White Party for 3 years, as long as he could serve as prime minister for the first year and a half of that period, with Gantz then taking over. Now, the Blue and White Party claims that he's bluffing. What is really going on here, and why is Netanyahu so insistent on serving first?
Yeah, well, actually, a unity government in some kind of a rotation is what Israel needs right now. I think Netanyahu knows that, many parts of the public know that. It makes sense that the leader who is now leading this coronavirus crisis will continue to do that. The last thing Israel needs now is change in government or a fourth round of elections. So it makes sense that Netanyahu will be first in this rotation government. And I think Gantz knows that if he ever wants to be prime minister, he should accept this guideline and enter an emergency unity government.
Now, the High Court is scheduled to hear the Blue and White Party's petition against Knesset Speaker Yuli Edelstein today. That took place at 4 o'clock, actually. And Blue and White wants Edelstein essentially removed. But the Speaker says that if he's removed, then we're going to be looking at fourth elections. Why is he saying that?
Yeah, well, the new speaker has to be chosen before a new government is sworn in, but no one said, and the law doesn't say it has to be done right away. Now, if Gantz wants to negotiate for a unity government, it makes no sense to use his random majority, there's no other way to say it, a random majority of 62 who have nothing in common between one another, and use that in order to remove Edelstein on one side, while on the other side negotiate for unity government. It doesn't make any sense, and that's what Yuli Edelstein said himself, and Likud backs him up in that position.
Why does Blue and White want him?
We'll see.
Sorry, I just want to ask, could you clarify to our viewers, why does Blue and White want Yuli Edelstein fired?
Well, Blue and White want to, there are two schools in Blue-White. One that says, let's go for unity government. The time calls for it. Now we're in the middle of a crisis, and no one wants small politics being done. That's one school. The other one says, okay, we have a majority. It's not a majority that can bring us to government, because we cannot form a government with the Arab party on one side and Lieberman on the other side, but we can use it in order to control the Knesset. So let's remove Yuli Edelstein. Let's control the committees. Let's do anything that we can in order to control the House. The only problem is that it will. The only path that it leads to is fourth round of elections. So I certainly hope that tomorrow we will see something different, perhaps some more logic and reason within blue-white that will make a negotiation for a unity government easier.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us with this update.
Okay, thanks for having me.
All right. In other news, as Israel practically enters full quarantine, the Palestinian Authority in Gaza are slowly following suit. The Palestinian Authority is now imposing a 14-day lockdown to contain the coronavirus, and all citizens are barred from leaving their homes as of 10 p.m. tonight, although it's unclear as to when and how Palestinians will be permitted to go to supermarkets, health facilities, and, of course, pharmacies. As Israel practically enters full quarantine, the Palestinian Authority in Gaza Strip are slowly following suit. The number of Palestinians infected by coronavirus is quickly rising. Dozens of cases have been confirmed and thousands more are in quarantine. City streets and major population centers are empty, and now Hamas officials in Gaza are also reporting the first 2 cases in the densely populated Strip. The 2 individuals in question had recently returned through Egypt from Pakistan and are said to have been kept separate from the general Gaza population. But in just the past 2 weeks, hundreds of other Gazan residents have returned home from abroad, only 92 of which have been tested. Meanwhile, in Judea and Samaria, or the West Bank, Palestinian Authority leaders are enforcing curfews and locking down one city after the next. New lockdowns include the cities of Bethlehem, Beit Jala, and Beit Sahur, in addition to all schools and tourist sites. Also, as of now, all cross-border traffic will be banned by the PA, so the tens of thousands of Palestinian workers who cross into Israel for work every day must now either stay home, find a place to stay in Israel, or risk breaking the law.
كعامل بتشتغل في الداخل ما بتقدر تسوي أي شيء. بدك تضطر إنك تمشي مع الظرف، تخاطر بنفسك مقابل إنك تقدم لقمة عيش لأولادك. في أجرات دور، في مصاريف، في كثير شغلات، خاصة إنه في هالنسب كثير ناس الداخلين جوا كلهم متزوجين عندهم أولاد.
The Arab-Israeli community accounts for 17% of Israel's doctors, and many of the nurses and medical professionals who are on the front line treating patients with coronavirus actually come from the Arab-Israeli community. Yet up until a week ago, all of Israel's coronavirus guidelines were only published in Hebrew and in English, leaving Arabic-speaking citizens without the information that they needed. Well, joining us now is Yosef Haddad, social activist and CEO of the organization Together We Vouch for Each Other, to discuss how the Arab-Israeli community is tackling the coronavirus crisis. So let's talk about that a little bit. How is the Arab-Israeli community tackling the coronavirus crisis, and is there enough access to information in Arabic in Israel right now?
So basically, the Israeli Arabs, they know very well what's going on in terms of instructions about the coronavirus in a few platforms. One of the platforms is the official Facebook page of the Ministry of Health in Arabic, which on a daily basis, put new instructions, which means we are up to date every day, what's going on, what we need to do, what we don't need to do. We are talking about videos, we are talking about written instructions. I can assure everyone that the Israeli Arabs in Israel know exactly what to do and how to do it. Yes, for sure, we have criticism over the Ministry of Health for not doing it sooner than what it is. But eventually today, every Israeli Arab knows exactly what he needs to do.
All right. Well, we understand that you actually just spent time in South Africa at the annual Israel Apartheid Week conference there, and we understand that BDS activists are still taking advantage of this coronavirus crisis to attack Israel. Can you explain how and how you're fighting it?
So basically, I have to share this story with you guys. I was on a live TV in South Africa when I debated the BDS leader, Mohammed Desai. And he went and he said that Israel until now didn't translate the coronavirus instructions in Arabic, which is a total lie. Because in my phone, I had already the instructions, and I called him out on the lie. And it was very, I should say that a lot of people in the TV and as well in South Africa were very surprised to see how he was caught on a lie on live TV. And we are doing that exactly during the whole week, when we're seeing more of the lies of the BDS, and we are there to block those lies and tell actually the truth. But Natasha, I want to say something really important about the Israeli Arabs facing the coronavirus and the corona issue and the crisis. And we can see that today, for instance, in Nazareth, more and more people are very disciplined. More and more people are listening to the instructions. And I have to give you one great example. In the Shamshum supermarket in Nazareth, they're actually not allowing more than 5 people to go inside the supermarket to make their groceries. And not only that, when you wait outside, there's stickers showing 2-meter distance between one sticker to another and asking you to stand between these 2 stickers, which is quite amazing.
No,
yes,
it absolutely
there is also. Yes, and there is also a few businesses that they are still opening despite the fact that they must close, and we've seen the police coming and shutting down those businesses and giving fines.
Right. Well, that's something that's taking place across the country, unfortunately. I mean, I think that there are a lot of people. It doesn't matter what community you're a part of that are breaking the rules right now. But really, Yosef, thank you so much for joining us and good work, very good work in what you're doing and what you just did in South Africa.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, now an Israeli mom has gone viral after basically having a breakdown about being stuck in quarantine with 4 kids who are supposed to take part in distance learning, since there's no school, of course. Just take a look.
תקשיבו, זה לא עסק, הלמידה מרחוק הזה. באמת, זה פשוט לא, זה בלתי אפשרי. זה לא נורמלי. מהבוקר, אנחנו רק ביום השני, מיליוני הודעות בוואטסאפ, יש לי 4 ילדים שיהיו בריאים, תדמיינו כמה וואטסאפים, כמה מורות לכל ילד, כמה מקצועות לכל ילד, יש לי רק 2 מחשבים בבית, הם רבים מהבוקר על המחשבים, אחד המורים של הבת שלי חי בסרט שהיא ב8 בבוקר תשב לראות אותו על המסך, היא ב8 בבוקר רק הופכת צד במיטה. מה נראה לכם? המורה למוזיקה של הבן הקטן שלי, היא שלחה תווים הבוקר. מה אני אעשה עם המידע הזה? יש לי הרכב של איזו להקה? אני לא יודעת לקרוא תווים.
That's just the beginning of Shiri Kenigsberg's Levi's rant, a mother of 4 in Ashkelon, Israel, whose rant online has since been shared around the world and has even been reposted by celebrities like Sharon Stone and Elizabeth Banks and aired on the Today Show. Let's face it, as parents around the world find themselves stuck at home with unruly children, they're expecting some relief from online distance learning programs, you know, the replacement for all of the closed schools, but for many, that just isn't the case.
וכל היום, איך הילד מרגיש? איך שיצייר ציור? איך הילד מרגיש? הוא כל היום בפלאפון, טוב לו! ישנים טוב, אוכלים, לא מפסיקים לאכול. איך הוא מרגיש? תשאלו אותי איך אני מרגישה. קורסת! אני עוברת מילד לילד, הנה מדעים, הנה מתמטיקה, הנה, חלס, גם איפה אני יודעת את כל הדברים האלה? עכשיו הילדים שלנו יעלו עלינו כמה אנחנו סתומים. זה לא לעניין, באמת. אני יודעת להפוך שבר מדומה. גם אם הוא מדומה, אני רוצה להבין משהו. למה צריך להתעסק איתו? הוא לא אמיתי, עזבו אותו בשקט. מה אני אומרת פה? גמרתם עלינו, זה רק היום השני. אם לא נמות מהקורונה, נמות מלמידה מרחוק.
In Israel, the education ministry announced that distance learning is no longer mandatory but voluntary, meaning that teachers can provide their services online, but that they won't be paid for it. For now, schooling for the vast majority of Israeli kids will be officially over until the Passover vacation ends, and until then, parents will have to figure out how to work from home while juggling the needs of their little ones. At least Levi could get everything she needed to say out to the world.
זהו, פרקתי. בבקשה, להוריד קצב, תניחו להם. שיהיה יום מהמם.
May you also have a great day, Shiri. We really appreciated your rant. All right, let's take a look at the weather forecast. The rain has finally let up, and today is partly cloudy with a high of 65 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 Celsius. Tomorrow, we're going to see a nice rise in temperatures to a high of 74 Fahrenheit or 24 Celsius. So if you do venture outside your home for any reason, make sure to put on some sunscreen. And now, before we go, let's take a look at what is going viral in Israel on tubing.
כן, מה עושה קורונה? מה זה קורונה?
אסור ללכת.
אוקיי, ולקניון?
אסור ללכת לקניון, אסור ללכת לסופר, אסור ללכת אפילו לג'ימבורי.
Legimboree, that's a kid's gym. That little girl could be the Prime Minister of Israel. She had Bibi pretty much on point there. All right, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.61 shekels to the American dollar. For more news from ILTV, please like ILTV on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube and Roku TV pages. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for watching.